Hi, so I want to go over some real world data here of reliable consumer hard drives. So there's a company called Backblaze that has released some data about some of the consumer hard drives that they used. So they've used about in total 32,000 hard drives, which is a couple of petabytes. And the reason why they buy consumer hard drives is because they find that the reliability is the same as enterprise hard drives. And we're not talking about performance, but more reliability and price point. So what they do is they buy a bunch of consumer hard drives, and you'll see here they call these the Backblaze pods, and they'll put a bunch of consumer hard drives in there, and they're in RAID. So you'll see that's their setup. So they've released some statistics on what hard drives failed for them the most. So you'll see here they have a slew of hard drives: Seagates, Hitachis, Western Digitals, and Toshiba and Samsung. And they also have certain models that they buy, and they happen to be the same consumer hard drives that we buy, specifically the most common ones, because they do buy it from Newegg or when it's very cheap. And again, they do this because the price point is advantageous for them when they have unlimited backup as their business model. So you'll see here, this is their study. So their study is that Hitachi is the most reliable, under 2% or under 1.5% annual failure rate. So they came up with this metric, and the metric is drive years and the annual failure rate based on drive years. So for example, if you have 12 hard drives running for a total of a month, that is one drive year. Or if you have one hard drive running for 12 months, that's also one drive year. So that's their baseline kind of unit that they compare all of their stats to as far as failure rates. So you'll see here that Seagate is actually the worst, having some hard drives that fail at a 14% rate, or later you'll see even at a 25% rate. So I will put these links in the description section. So you'll see some of the hard drives. And these are very popular hard drives, again, because they buy where we buy at the same type of price points that we buy it at. Namely, buying a 30 gig hard drive for $90 or $100. So one of the popular ones that are very reliable here, you'll see, is the Western Digital Red. And one of the most unreliable is this very popular 1.5 terabyte. And this is the model number that I've highlighted. I mentioned this model because the computer I'm doing this video on is running as the boot disk on this very model, and it fails at a 25.4% rate. They do note that in their in this article that over 80% of their hard drives are still running. So still, only 20% of their hard drives have failed. Another very popular model, 3 terabyte, is another one that just failed actually for me, failed a couple of weeks ago. A little bit over 2 years use, it failed. So here they have this at 9.8%. They even have one that is at 120%. And actually the reason why they think this fails is because of some vibration issue that they have. The reason why it's 120% is they'll send the hard drive back and they'll get another one that fails. So that means it's over 100% failure rate. So it could be over 100%. And then they do a breakdown here of the models that they have. So this is the Seagate models, and this is the more Seagate models, and this is the Hitachi. Needless to say, Hitachi is always the best. So, and here are the Western Digital reliability. So they do have, survival, 3-year survival rates and all of that. So this is a good read, and I'll have this in the description area. So they do have an update here recently, and this is where they have the 35,000 drives, which is over 100 petabytes. So they do have an updated graph, and I'll also have this link in the other videos. So they explain here that basically they buy it at the same price that we buy it at Amazon or Newegg. So, all right, that's all I wanted to say about this, because I think it'll be more interesting if you read it yourself. But namely, I just wanted to say that Hitachi's the best brand, and then Western Digital, and then Seagate. So there's quantitative data here versus anecdotal data, anecdotal testimonials that you get from your friends or for yourself, because you only have, well, we've only bought like 20 drives or 30, 50 drives over our lifetime so far. So, all right, that's all I wanted to mention, and thank you for watching.